recording and broadcasting. Here we are, June 6th. Welcome. As you enter the room, please let us know where you're coming from. We're gonna slowly wait for our attendees to join us, but as you join us, please let us know where you're coming from. Make sure to click all panelists and attendees in the chat so that we can hear where you're coming from today. Thank you everyone for joining us. We're gonna wait a moment and let our attendees settle in. Hi Merlin, thanks for being here.
Germany.
Mumbai.
Pittsburgh.
Portland. Hey, Portland.
Orlando. Dubai.
Hi. Son.
Thank you again,
Pasadena.
everyone.
Who's up?
Philly.
Alberta.
South Wales.
We're doing
Punjab.
great, and we hope you're doing well.
Houston.
Saudi Arabia. Catch it. India. Wow.
All over the
Brazil.
world. Thank
Sacramento.
you, everyone.
Portland represent. Not India.
As a reminder, there's a Q&A box. We'll try and get to as many questions as we can. We won't get to all of them.
South America.
But post your questions in the Q&A box.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Georgia. Atlanta. Hey. Hollywood. Tanzania. Toronto. Hey, Jeff's here.
Hi,
Our
Jeff.
former other SteadiSchool guest, Steadicam Camera Operator Jeff Molstock is in the room with us. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for joining us again.
Russia,
South Africa.
Yeah.
All right. France. Living in Atlanta. Okay.
It's a big jump. Thank you for joining us. Kenya.
Kenya. LA.
I'm gonna just wait another moment. While we wait, I would like to read a statement that we've prepared, and thank you again for your patience while we get settled in. SteadiSchool stands in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. The unhealed wounds of racism in the US are ever present, and now is the time for us to unite in educating ourselves and others in how to help move the nation forward as equals. A significant part of SteadiSchool's mission is to offer an inclusive, safe space where anyone interested in the cinematic arts may learn and grow. We plan to lead by example through continuing to create opportunities for persons of color to pursue their dreams of working in entertainment and bringing their stories to life. We know this will take hard work, and we want to encourage everyone to participate in the movement in a way that is fulfilling to them. Create art, protest at rallies, offer donations, hire persons of color, but most of all, vote, especially in local elections. Your vote matters, and your voice is needed. I would like to take a moment of silence to commemorate the countless Black lives that have been lost. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us and for honoring that moment. It's been a pretty emotional week, and we appreciate you joining us. We like to start with introductions, and Sarah May, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah May. I'm a SteadiSchool student at SteadiSchool under Jess. I'm a aspiring camera operator and just completed the 2-year program at Panavision.
Excellent. Thanks for being here. Carmen, we'd love to hear a little bit about you.
Hi everyone, my name is Carmen Chan. I'm a member of SteadiSchool. I mostly brand myself as a DP, but have recently shifted towards operating and particularly Steadicam. And I'm currently based in Philadelphia, but also has done some stuff in LA, and I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us. My name is Matthew Borick. I'm a local 600 camera assistant based in Los Angeles and a SteadiSchool instructor. Very excited as always to be here and excited to have Kirk with us today. Jessica, how about you?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica Lopez. I'm a Los Angeles and Atlanta-based camera operator and Steadicam operator, also known as SteadiJess. Kirk is a hero of mine, and I'm so glad that we could have him here today to share his experiences and his wonderful story with us.
And Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself as well as Learn Filmmaking?
Hi everyone, my name is Cristiana Aid. I am an LA-based actress and I volunteer for the SteadiSchool, the Society of Camera Operators, as well as the Learn Filmmaking channel. We are a platform online on Instagram, and we love to find filmmakers, push their work, and just kind of have an online community where we can help each other. So follow us on Instagram at Learn Filmmaking.
Amazing. SteadiSchool is, a community of filmmakers who want to advance their technical abilities. We offer guided workshops and one-on-one mentorship opportunities to learn as an assistant and as an operator. We're currently in a hiatus due to the pandemic, but we're excited to get back to meeting in person in the next couple of months as the safer at home orders loosen and we're allowed to meet again in person. Jess, why don't you tell us about the idea of the Oneer and how that inspired SteadiSchool?
Being a Steadicam operator, part of our job responsibilities is to be able to tell a story in a single take, which could be anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 hours, depends on the job you're on. But the idea of the single take is to be able to, you can tell where something takes place at the moment in time. You can meet all the actors, you can see the props, the costumes, everything is involved in a single take of storytelling. That is how we decided to form SteadiSchool, by pairing assistants with operators and executing our curriculum through single take shots. And yeah, so single takes.
They're great. Thank you for that, Jess. And last but not least, Kirk, if you'll give us a brief introduction of yourself before we get things started.
All right. Well, hello, team. I'm Kirk Gardner, camera operator, Steadicam operator. Here based in Los Angeles. Kind of travel all around the country and a little bit around the world. Not much, a little bit around the world. And I've been a camera Steadicam operator for about 30 years now. And still doing it, still operating, still doing Steadicam, and feel good about it.
Great. Thank you for joining us. We have a little highlight reel prepared of Kirk's work. Thank you to Merlin Showalter for getting it together for us. I'm going to share my screen and we'll check it out. And go.
Move. He was so cooperative. the movie. Movie in action, two-man operation. I'll explain that. This, Jessica was right. This is where I got hit.
Larry's one of my heroes.
Is he? Is he? Good
Absolutely.
dude, smart dude, on time dude. Don't want to get shot. Wearing all that protection.
Safety is important.
Safety is important. Safety first. Whee! So I think it was more fun to ride than it was to shoot. Oh my gosh, what was that, 12? I'm saying that was so much fun. That was.
I can't believe it. I just still can't believe somebody filmed that.
Yes, Murder in the First.
We're going to show more of that clip later because it's a long oneer.
It's a long oneer, guys. It's a long oneer.
Well, that was
There's
great.
another long oneer in here too. In the film.
Oh, in that same movie?
In that same, it's
Interesting.
it's the most memorable one because it was the most painful one. And maybe you didn't even notice it was a oneer. That would be great if you don't notice. That's the goal, I think, is to not ever get you out of the picture, to always keep you in the shot, keep you in the scene. When you notice, oh, the camera's still going, then I think you come out of the scene for whatever reason, and you're kind of bummed about it. So, yeah, oneers can be all engrossing.
Yes. But I watched Murder in the First, and I saw that you definitely did a few. It was like a theme. The movement around the bars seemed to be, a way of storytelling in it with the camera, for sure.
Yeah, I think it was if I'm not mistaken, it's the introduction to Henry. I think this is when we get to see him after he's arrested. The first time we've seen him after he's arrested. And so he wanted to come upon, like, this is where he is. This is the place that they have him. He's in this big room in this little cell by himself. And then the conversation, and then got into the character. And then at the end, it goes up and booms up, which I was not really for the boom up at the end, but they wanted to do this, Mark wanted to do this final kind of shot. And I kind of wanted to end on a close up, but Mark's worked better, I think, because it cut better to the next shot. So. Directors know, they know.
Yeah, I put I'm gonna put the link in the chat for Murder in the First if anybody wants to check it out. It's a movie he did in 1995 with Christian Slater and Kevin Bacon.
And Mark Rocco is the director and Fred Murphy as the DP.
Nice. All right, so first question's up. Let me find it. You've worked for several prolific directors like Spike Lee, Wes Craven, and Antoine Fuqua. What do you feel were the factors that led to you working on multiple projects with these talented auteurs?
When I saw that question, when you kind of sent that question over to me, and I thought about it, I was like, yeah, how did I get the job with these different guys? I think it was from what I did in the beginning of my career. What I found was things you did 20 years ago start to pay off later on. You don't even know it. They just come out of nowhere. With Antoine, Mauro, yes, I think that led from Mauro Fierro, who's the DP. My agent submitted me to Antoine, and I had worked with a team of Mauros before. Mauro has done films with the Roger, what's the low budget sci-fi.
Roger Corman.
Roger Corman. He had done films, Janusz Kaminski, all these guys were kind of a little team. And somehow I hooked into that little team. And I think Mara remembered me and Antoine wanted to use me, and then boom, I was there. And yeah, I was nervous, but boom, I was there. And now you got to perform. With Wes Craven, again, I think it has something to do with some music videos that I had done earlier in my career with one of the ADs, I believe. I believe that got me on set. And I mean, because the list kind of goes on. I've worked with what's his name? With Wim Wenders. That was through Fade and Papa Michael, who's also kind of like the Mauro Janisch. So it's like they're, I won't call them a team, but they seem to have all came up together. And somehow I got plugged in there doing something low budget, maybe something for no money or very little money, and just enjoying the process and learning. But you also meet all these people along the way, which is also why it's important to, you got to respect everybody. You don't know where anybody's going or where anybody's coming from. That's not the reason to respect, but it is a payoff that respecting people, they remember you, they remember you. And you worked hard. You're not lazy. You're not trying to not let them get their shots. You're believing in what they believe in. You're there for the reason they're there. And so I think that really, yeah, this diverse group of directors, and a lot of us, I've done a lot of day play work with. You don't do the whole film. You just end up being there for that day, maybe that week. And that's how you meet people as well, day playing on stuff. And from that, it led to, this is my belief, it led to this diverse group of filmmakers. Peter Bogdanovich, that's what I was trying to think of. I worked with Peter Bogdanovich. I was shocked. I was like, this is the Peter Bogdanovich I'm working with? And that was through DP Robert Brinkman, who did The Cable Guy. So me working on this little project with Robert Brinkman, which involved Peter Bogdanovich, and he ended up directing. Then that led to The Cable Guy. That led to other projects with Robert Brinkman, which led to other me meeting other people, which led to other shows. I guess it's like a tree that just keeps sprouting and sprouting. As long as you got some leaves, you can keep making new trees. So yeah, I think it was just from working from the ground up.
Thank you.
Oh, that was a long answer. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that was amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, you said Peter Bogdanovich. I'm like, I love Paper Moon. I totally,
Yeah, I love that movie too. Yeah. Interesting man.
Chris,
right.
Do you have maybe one from the audience? We'll get right to the audience today.
Yes, so I have a question from Ronnie Sindane. How do you recommend that somebody can network to get their first job? How can somebody create a portfolio? And how do you market yourself?
How do you get your first job? How do you get your first job? I mean, that can come from anywhere. But I think more so it comes from you opening your mouth, you stepping forward to not be an extrovert, but to be involved with filmmakers in your community or wherever it is you are, and letting people know what you want to do or what you can do. And I think that opens them to look in your direction and may throw opportunities your way. Be quiet, be silent, sit in the corner. I don't think no one will know. You wish to do, you want to do, you like to do, but you don't say anything. You don't speak out. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? Is that how it works? Yeah, it's speaking out. It's letting people know what you want to do, what your dreams are. And people may throw things your way. So getting your first job, I would just say, let them know what it is you want to do, what you're going to do, should I say. What was the other part of the question?
The other part of the question was creating a portfolio and marketing yourself.
I thought about that because I was going to bring my little advertisement that I used when I first started Steadicam. I don't know if you guys remember a Steadicam operator, great Ted Churchill. Anybody?
Yes, the man who invented the Steadicam operator.
The man who invented the Steadicam operator. I love it. King of marketing. Well, Ted was one of my teachers back in '85, I think it was. And he had a little pamphlet that was, where is my little pamphlet? I wish I knew where it was. But he had this little pamphlet that showed him as a Steadicam operator. And it would just show him running around with the camera or, standing next to a movie star. And I thought, ooh, when I was in school, I thought, ooh, what a good idea. So when I left school, I went back to Detroit, Michigan, which is where I'm from. Hollywood, capital of the world. Not. And I created a little pamphlet of myself in the Steadicam, a phone number and the whole thing. And I just went around to find where our little film, I would go to the playhouses in Detroit. That was a start for me because that was actors. Actors led to stagehands. Stagehands led to, we work on this little film. And I ended up getting on Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead, with Peter Deming, I think was the DP at that time. So see, a connection. You just get out there, you walk around. I passed out my little pamphlet like a little, I was like a guy, it's like a guy at the circus, just passing out pamphlets. Come to my DJ party, And I think some people laughed at it. My reel was just shots of me moving with my friends, which I had, maybe this helped me a little bit. I did this in advance. I was in the Navy, and I shot a little promos, little shots of using the Steadicam. And that footage, we just kind of put together with some music, and that's what I used to show people. You look at it today and you go, how did you get work, Kirk? How did anybody pay attention to this? They did. I don't know why or how, but they did. And it got me work. The little work there was in Detroit.
Well, Sam Raimi's from that area, Rochester Hills. So,
Yes.
And they were making Evil Dead in that area, and all of them, actually. I think the first two.
I think the second one, I think, was done in North Carolina or South Carolina, something like that. Am I wrong? I think they had more money. Their budget was bigger. I think they moved on, right? So, but Sam, I say it like I know him personally. I really don't. And to be honest, I don't want to brag. I did Evil Dead, but I did one shot in the Evil Dead movie. But it was meeting all the people. All the people there now are working. It's so cool to see where everybody went to, Also did a film in Detroit called Chameleon Street. Oh, what's the actor's name? Chameleon Street is the name of the movie. And this director, writer, I cannot, if you pull him up on your computer there, Jessica, let me know, but I can't remember his name. He went on to become a pretty well-known actor, and I can't remember the guy's name, and I'm really bad with names. And doing his movie, I met so many people that work out here in LA now. And they would remember me from Chameleon Street. I was like, how can you? And I go, oh my gosh, we're all old. It's all connections. It's all connections. It really is.
Thank you.
That's great. Sarah May, how about your first question for the day?
Hey, so I was wondering, has your perspective on operating Steadicam changed since you first started your career? And do you think that the position has changed the need for Steadicam now?
Okay, good question. I hear you on that. How has the perspective changed? Well, I think more so. It used to be, as I remember it, we were a specialty. Steadicam was like, you come in to do this shot. And at least my experience, it may be different between Steadicam operators, and how much you were operating before you were doing Steadicam is just a camera operator who then learned Steadicam. I think they brought in they may have ushered in a new level of it too, because they were already operators and then they learned Steadicam. Some weren't really established operators like myself. We learned Steadicam, and that's how we got on set. So I think more so how it's changed is we've gone from being the specialty to the A-camera operator. And the A-camera operator has a Steadicam sitting over there on the side. And which integrated the Steadicam, I think, more into shooting versus less specialty, more commonplace. Steadicam is just part of the set now. I do believe, and if I'm wrong, I'm going to get yelled at from people all over the world, but I think that it helped change budgets. I think it helped change schedules of shooting films. Knowing you, not saying the dolly grips are slow, but knowing you don't have to set up track and a dolly and for everything, you can bring in the Steadicam and you have a different shot. Maybe the shot goes on a little longer than it would have if it was on the dolly with less setup, maybe. So it perspective-wise, and I think it changed the look. I got to be careful with that. Change the look of movies. That's what I want to say, but maybe it's just added another look to movies. Maybe that's the way to put that, because I love old films. I love old film. Sometimes I like it when the camera never moves. It's sometimes more entertaining. More, I like what's his name? Wes Anderson. Is it Wes Anderson? Wes Anderson? P.T. Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
love his films. Does he have any Steadicam in his movies? I don't know. I don't know, because that camera's like, but it's beautiful and it's just so interesting to sit there and watch everything happen. But that's how I think it changed the perspective. What was the other part of your question?
It was, do you think that there's a less of a demand or need for Steadicam now because there's so many different things that you can use to like create a steady shot kind of ish?
Yes, I do not think there's less demand. I really don't. The Movi, I keep saying the Movi, DJI's Movi, right? There's another one too. The Ronin.
Ronin.
I'm only speaking of the Ronin, the handheld deals, because these wonderful auto leveling systems I think are great. But no, I don't think that it's lessened Steadicam any. Once again, I think that what these tools have done, another look of film is invented. Another, seeing a camera start at the top of a building and in the window of a car without CGI, Movi on a rig, coming down wires and coming into the car. It's just added another look of films. I don't think it's replaced Steadicam. Some people like to think it has, and in some cases they do shots that Steadicams can do. But then there are limits to what those systems can do that Steadicam can do, and vice versa. So no, I do not think it has lessened the use of Steadicam. And Steadicam is still a skill. It is still something that has to be learned, practiced, repeated over and over. It's still something that you just don't put together and get behind a remote thing and start working. It's a system that's integrated with the body. I really don't feel that some of these other systems are that way. And still, it's one person operating a Steadicam. With the Movi, I was saying in the shot you were watching in Southpaw, I think when he's coming into the arena, I was operating the camera. Well, I have on a headset, I was working with Brian, I can't remember Brian's last name. He's an operator in Philadelphia. I think Carolyn, she in Philadelphia, is that right? One of our...
Yeah, Carmen's Philly based.
Carmen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's in Philadelphia. Do you know who I'm talking about? Brian, Steadicam operator there. Oh, Brian, he's going to hate me. I didn't remember his last name. I'll look it up. But
I'm
anyway.
gonna look it up right now.
Look it up right now, Jessica. He's the B-cam operator on Southpaw and Steadicam. We actually did two Steadicam shots. He was operating the wheels of the Movi while I was operating the movement of the Movi. And I'm on a headset. And because at that time, I think the Movi was a little lacking in its technical abilities, I would tell him where I'm going with the camera. It was like two people were operating the camera. It was really cool. And I would say, and now I'm going to pan right, panning right. And he would counter pan or he'd back pan, whatever he had to do to keep the person in the shot. And oh, beautiful. That's the best picture on the planet for me. I can't touch it. But anyway, he's really panning and tilting that camera remotely while I'm moving it around. And we didn't want the grips to do it because it's not that grips can't do it. It's just that they're not cameramen at that point for what they're doing. They're not cameramen. And they would just sort of be moving. I'm actually operating. I'm creating the shot and telling Brian what I'm doing. and he's following what I'm doing. So it's a two-man operation in that shot. Boy, that's a good shot. Who took that picture? See, I am so terrible with names. Scott Garfield took that shot. Yeah.
Brian Osmond was the other, right?
Brian Osmond. Yes, Brian Osmond. Good dude. Good dude. It is so good to hear these names. You bring them up. I actually smile and mean it. These are good people. It was a good crew working on it. Anyway, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it did. That was a great answer. Thank you.
Very long. Okay.
Carmen, if you had your first question for Kirk, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so in an older interview, you mentioned that you learned Steadicam while in. I was wondering if you could expand on how exactly that came about and how you were able to practice until you got your first rig.
Okay, I will. Okay, yes. So should I go to why I joined the Navy? Should I go there? Okay, all right.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Let's hear it. Okay. I didn't want to be too long-winded about this. I started making films in Detroit when I was like 16, 17 years old, I think. Writing scripts. I was that odd kid. Yes, I was. Writing scripts on my own and then go out and try to film these things with my cousins, with my family, and so on. Even had my grandfather involved in one of them. And I had been making these films myself. And so I'd been shooting them myself. And sometimes my footage would come out dark, or sometimes it'd be out of focus. And how come it's not working? How come this is so dark? And this is one of those things where you shoot it on Super 8, you take it down to the camera shop. 3 or 4 days later, if I'm not mistaken, it would come back, you take it back home, throw it in your little 8mm editing machine, and you'd sit there, and then you knew what you got when you shot a week ago. And things would be dark, or it'd be out of focus, or it's like, how come I can't see the knife, to shoot little horror films? It's because I'm not too close. And so this led me to think, maybe I need to know how to operate a camera. Maybe I need to know photography. And so I applied for USC. I don't know if I should go here. I applied for USC and I applied for UCLA. I figured if I'm going to go learn how to shoot my movies, because I thought that's how it went. I didn't know the system. I didn't know there was a DP, a first assistant, an operator, all this kind of stuff. I just thought I need to know how to shoot. And I was accepted at USC, but I couldn't afford to go. So I looked around with my parents, and we discovered that the Navy had a photographic division in the Navy. And I thought, oh, okay, well, what better place to really learn the technical of film than from the military? I know that sounds odd, but they had they took me down to the school in Pensacola to let me see this photographic school. I was amazed. You learned everything. You learned 4x4 cameras, you learned 8x10 cameras, you learned sound, you learned editing, you learned everything. And all you had to do was join for 5 years, which I didn't think was a big deal. Yeah, to me at that moment, it wasn't a big deal. I'm not gonna go through my whole life in the Navy, but I ended up joining the Navy to go to school for photography. And I did. There's a lot of loopholes and a lot of things you have to go through, but if you can do it all, you'll make it to that point. And I ended up being at the Norfolk Audiovisual Command, which was on the East Coast in Norfolk, Virginia. And we had on the shelf in this building, all we used was Nikons and Arriflexes. I had no idea the treasure that I had my hands on in this command, because I didn't really know cameras much. The camera I used back in Detroit was a Bell & Howell 8mm. I didn't even know what Arriflex was at that time. And joined the Navy, did all that, got into it, and saw all these wonderful cameras and things, lenses. This is like $1 million supply house of cameras and training equipment for filmmaking. And we had to do that. We had to train. So we would go out and make little music videos. We would go out and just shoot portraits and do photojournalism with dentists working on people's teeth. I mean, we did everything. We shot everything, and you learn so much. And I did. I learned a lot about photography. Then we saw these cases on the shelf. Who is we? Myself, Rudy Pahoya, who's the first assistant now here in LA. Phil Wright, he's on the East Coast. He's now a DP. Who else can I think of in my head? Larry Johnston. a couple other folks. I don't know, saying these names, you might know these people. I don't know. And we pulled these things off the shelf. And what is this Steadicam thing? And we were like the young kids of the command. Because the command was full of older people. We were young sailors. So we opened it up, we pulled it out, we looked, we put everything on wrong, we put everything together wrong. We didn't know what this thing was. And so we found out something Garrett Brown invented. Eventually I took 2 weeks off and went to school at the main Rockport workshop back in 83, I think it was, or 84. And learned to use the Steadicam and worked with Garrett Brown. And Garrett said some magic words to me. He said, after watching me fight with it, he said, you're going to be good at this. You just have to learn to, you are one with the camera. He said a lot of words, but the words that stuck in my head was, you're going to be good at this. And I thought, wow, the inventor of the Steadicam just told me that I'm good with this thing. Obviously, he's right. And so I went on, and that's where it kind of started. And from there, I ended up going back to Detroit doing Steadicam. Didn't get much work there. Came straight to LA, and actually got our first movie within 3 months, I think it was, when I got here. So that's how the Navy came into play.
What was your first movie, by the way?
My very first movie, was Chameleon Street in Detroit. Okay, but out here in LA, the first film was I'ma Get You Sucker, which I say to people, and they go, oh my gosh, you did I'ma Get You Sucker, and everybody falls out because they love that film. I never knew how big the film was at that time, and now it's like a cult film.
Oh, it's
so
those. It was the platform shoes with the dead goldfish that stay in our heads.
Hard low-mo shot, trying to get that camera down to those shoes and follow with them down the street, and they didn't even use the shot. But anyway.
And that was directed by Keenan Ivory Wayans, correct?
Keenan Ivory Wayans. He was really cool. And DP was Tom Richmond. Here we go. Connections. Tom Richmond led to a lot more things later on. How did I get that job? Was through a friend who couldn't do the job. He was a friend. He didn't have a Steadicam at the time, and he couldn't do the job, so he recommended me. And boom, Tom Richmond, great DP, great guy.
That's great.
Thank you.
What great backstory. Chris, do you have another one from the audience for us?
Yes, I have one from Marilyn Shaw Walter. I said it right this time. She's asking, what factors go into deciding between using a Steadicam versus a movie for a shot?
Ooh. Well, that's an interesting question. I'm trying to see where that decision is made, like who came up with the thought. In some cases, I guess a shot is made up in the director's mind, right? He has this idea for this shot, and I guess he goes to his DP, hopefully, and he says, here's what we want to do. And I hope that his DP, if not all-knowing, turns and goes to his operator, or at least the people he plans to use, and say, here's the idea. And the operator goes, what if we use this? Is that operator that he's talking to a Steadicam operator, or is he not a Steadicam operator? Sometimes it doesn't make a difference. There are some fantastic camera operators out there who don't do Steadicam, but who know when the tool can be used and when it shouldn't be used. So to come up with that answer, it takes a lot of heads. I don't really think it's that camera operator that says that's what you should use and this is what we're gonna use. It's kind of milled between the DP and the director as well. This is a hard question because I'm trying to answer it, but I think so many factors are involved. Personalities are involved as well. Unfortunately, sometimes egos are involved as well. And stamina is involved as well. And what's impossible is involved as well. What's your budget and how much time do you have? All this is involved with the tool that you're going to use. I think time's a really big factor on it too. I'm sure on Birdman that, not that I was there at all, but just look at that film. They did what they needed to do. It's what I gathered by looking at it. We're going to make this work, versus we don't have time to make that work, which can change the whole shot. That's a really hard question. I think it's a few heads coming. I'll answer it this way. It's a few heads coming together to make that decision. I don't think it's one person, but I do think that the operator has a pretty big say in that too. He should or she. Notice I keep saying he, but he or she should be brought into that conversation, most definitely. So I hope I answered that question. I really don't feel like I did. Again, I just think it's many heads making that decision. It's not one person. I never think it's one person making that decision.
I think that you're right, that it's a collaborative effort and the operator needs to weigh in appropriately as to what's technically possible to best serve the story. And sometimes people, directors or whomever, will say, I think this tool is right, but if the operator feels it's better accomplished with a different tool, then they should voice that opinion.
Exactly. You know, let me bring up a quick example. Also, as a director I work with, I won't take this as being vain, but he was doing a TV show, and this director does movies sometimes. And he called me to do this shot on this TV show. And they had an operator, and they had a Steadicam operator. But I'm not going to mention any names so no one gets hurt here, but this happens. The operator wasn't physically up to doing the shot. He physically really couldn't do the shot. I was younger at that time too, and he was an older operator than I was. And so this director calls me and says, there's this shot I want to do. Can you come do it? So I thought, who's the operator on that show? So I called them and I said, hey, your director wants me to come in and do this Steadicam shot. He says, thank you. He says, because physically I can't do this shot that he wants to do. This guy's crazy. I thought, okay, he was cool about it, which is what I liked. And so I came in, and it was kind of a hard, long oneer. I think the oneer was 13 minutes long at that time for film. That was not 13, not film. It was HD, but it was a very heavy camera. And it was 13 minutes long, and I did the shot. I think I did 8 takes, and I thought this would kill this other operator. He was like, I would be dead, Kirk. So in that case, it was just a matter of the director knowing someone could physically do it, and then all heads talked, and we made it happen.
No, that's great. I think last week or 2 weeks ago when we had Jeff Molstock in here, he talked about doing a shot on Mr. Robot that they originally tried to do using a small gimbal, but with the way that the blocking wound up, it was a better done as a Steadicam shot. And so they, like, halfway, a couple takes in, he was like, this is going to be better if we change. And then they changed, and it was better. And so sometimes you have to know how to adjust, when to adjust. Merlin had kind of a little bit of a follow-up. He's curious why you used the Movi on Southpaw as opposed to having the Steadicam in the ring.
Because the Movi could move faster. For me, the Movi was less obtrusive within, because in the ring was, as you saw in that picture, camera assistant, sound guy, me, and the referee, and then the 2 boxers. The Movi allowed me to move quicker. It was less obtrusive, less equipment in the ring. And because I'm going to tell you something in a minute that happened, but I was able to move the camera much faster, up and down, and talk to Brian, and him knowing where I'm going to go. I'm going up, I'm going left, I'm going low. And as he would hit the guy, I could push in and come around and lay on the floor with him if I wanted to. So the camera was more nimble. That's the reason that we used it. We also used head cameras and headgear on the boxers as well for POVs. But the camera, I just say, was more nimble. It could move faster and swifter. And it wasn't, they were cuts. They weren't moving dialogue from, out of the ring to into the ring to talking to into the fight. I think we had planned to do that. We never did that, but they were cuts. So, and I guess you wonder why not use handheld. Well, once again, the camera, because it had a monitor on it, was able to drop to the floor, go up and look down over the fight, come down. It was just able to move quicker and go to different angles faster. That's the reason we used it. And as I remember with Marl, that's the reason we used it in the ring.
I love the shot in one of the, I think it's the part where he loses in Southpaw, but you have the movie over the rail of the turnbuckle, like you're going over it. And you couldn't do that with the Steadicam, to just go right down and make
yes,
contact.
Yes. Did we go over it or did we go between the ropes? I can't remember. Anyway, you're absolutely right. It
looked like you were at the top.
It kept going. The camera kept going. And yeah, we couldn't have done that with this. Oh my gosh. We could have did it on a crane somehow. But yeah, we couldn't have done that with the Steadicam. And there's a thing about time too. I'm not saying the movie had a low budget or anything. I'm just saying we were limited on time, and Antoine had a lot of shots in his head, and we're trying to give him all these shots. And like I said, they're cuts. They're not oneers. They're not, the shot's not going to last for 30 seconds. It's going to last for 10 seconds. I'm sorry. It's going to last for 3 seconds. It's going to last for 8 seconds. And it was faster to get those shots too.
Nice. Thank you so much.
I really hope I'm answering you guys' questions. I'm really trying my best here for you.
These are great questions. I mean, great answers to the questions. We tried to put some, thought into them, and then we have some great, live audience members asking some really good questions too. So my next question, and this one is definitely for me, and I hope a lot of other people. You've seen a lot throughout the history of Steadicam and the profession, considering the technology. You've used a 3A, a Panaglide, and now you currently own a Pro Rig. What perspective can you offer, having been a part of the early days using the ever-evolving technology and eventually being a part of the formation of GPI Pro?
What perspective can I offer? Meaning, what changes do I see?
What the changes you've went through in the technology, and what it was like being a part of something groundbreaking like the formation of the Pro equipment.
Okay, all right. So, all right, I see what you're saying. I'm trying to answer that because I don't know how involved I was with the changes. Steadicam was started by Cinema Products. Excuse me, that's wrong. Garrett Brown invented the Steadicam. But Cinema Products, if I'm not mistaken, is the company that took it on. Said, we're going to build these things. There was a guy named Jesse Garfield. Named, here we have the Garfield mount, I believe was named after Jesse. He was a salesman at Cinema Products. So was Chuck Jackson, was also a salesman at Cinema Products. And I remember Jesse trying to get these rigs out to different people, trying to get them out to the operators. And these were expensive. These things are very expensive. And I remember Jesse would try to work some sort of financial deal somehow. In other words, he was trying to push this equipment. He was trying to sell it. This is hopefully what I'm giving you is a good memory of Jesse, because I remember he was a great man. And he helped get Steadicams out to people. Now, I don't know everybody's experience, and he didn't get me a Steadicam, but he got me to be able to play with all the toys, to be able to see, what Cinema Products was doing. I actually sort of became a little, a model for Steadicam. I did an ad for Steadicam with Cinema Products many years ago. I have no idea what that picture is. And, but Jesse, I remember him getting these Steadicams out. And then suddenly Steadicams started coming out everywhere. It was just over in Europe, they were building their, I think that was MKV. MKV, yeah, I think he was starting to come on one. The guy who did the vest, Suave, who has the vest with the back mount. He started to come out with one. Different people were coming out with different types of Steadicam. And then, I'm trying to make sure I follow into this fellow named Bob DeRose, who lives there in Philadelphia. I believe he's in Philadelphia, Carmen. And I hope I'm right about what this is my experience. Bob DeRose was a Steadicam repairman, but he did other stuff too. He's a tech whiz, mechanics. He's a lot with metal, cutting metal and things of this nature. And I remember Bob had a shop set up out in North Hollywood where he would rent out Steadicams. And for a while, I did not own my own Steadicam. There's a whole nother story behind that, but I don't really want to get into that. But I rented my Steadicam from Bob, but I would advertise it as mine. You never said you didn't own it, because for some reason it seemed UPMs thought that if you didn't own your own rig, you must not be very good at it. And this was the sort of reputation I remember going around. So I would rent my stuff from Bob. That's around the time the Pro came into play with George Paddock. It's the history of this needs to really be honed out. This question is a tricky one, because these details are kind of important, and I really don't want to get them wrong, and I don't want to exclude anybody that helped bring about because Chris Harhoff was involved with that as well in testing and his opinion about stuff. David Emmerich's. I remember that I was asked certain things about what is it you think the Steadicam should have. The Pro Paddock Radical Option is what I believe PRO stands for. Paddock, George Paddock, Radical Option. The operators helped put this Steadicam together. And I thought, where was Garrett Brown in all this? Garrett was actually behind it all. He was like, yeah, go guys, make this thing lighter, make this thing work for you guys, make this thing better than what I brought out. Now, hone it in. I don't know legally where everything was, with who Garrett was with or for, or Cinema Products and the whole deal, but the Pro system became like the operator system. And it seemed we were really tasked in telling George, who was a Steadicam operator as well, but another technical genius, we won't get into his history, that's a whole movie. He put together a rig that worked for us, that worked for operators. Now, sounds like I'm cutting Steadicam, Cinema Products. I'm not. They were still creating rigs that worked too, but we felt the Pro, and we were working operators were being brought into the picture, and they wanted our say-so on a lot. George wanted our say-so on a lot of this. And that just brings in, a lot of people are going to be mad at me if they watch and say, you forgot him and you forgot him. There's a lot of people involved with this, believe me. But the Pro became the operator's rig, as far as I'm concerned. It became, and the Steadicam arm, after the patent time was up, all kinds of Steadicam arms were starting to come out. And I believe the Pro was the best arm at the time. I still, of course, now still use a Pro system. And I'm not pumping Pro because they've been with me my whole Steadicam career. They're good. I think that their stuff is good, and it does work. It has problems every now and then, but I think that Pro, I'm really not pumping it. I'm not getting anything free for this. But
well, you owned a Panaglide too, right? Oh, there's a Pro.
This Panaglide thing, I advertised as a Steadicam Panaglide operator. Well, Panaglide is a Steadicam, it's just a different version like these other versions. I never actually operated the Panaglide. I saw it once or twice, but I never actually operated. Everything I ever did was from Cinema Products and and the Pro. So the Panaglide was Panavision's version of the Steadicam. There we go. See the word? And none of those are all Cinema products that you're looking at right there. From 1983. 85.
Is that a Model 2 up top right there?
I think that's a Model 1. I really do. The battery swung from side to side like this, if I remember right. That monitor was huge. Yeah, everything was heavier. Everything was bulkier. Everything was. That was a time to be a Steadicam operator. I tell you, it's a little bit easier nowadays. Let's put it that way. You sometimes the equipment didn't work right. And this was rented from the camera house in New York City. I remember that. This one on the top is from the Navy, but the one on the bottom, which you really can't see, the picture on the bottom, that was from a camera house in New York. Can't remember the name of the camera house, but we got that out in New York. That's a video camera. Notice the Navy was pretty advanced. We tested all the new Betacams. Before Betacams came out to the world, the Navy would test a lot of that equipment down in Grenada and around the world. And then it got modified, and then all of a sudden, all the TV stations have it. So very interesting, very old pictures. I forgot I gave you those pictures.
Thank you.
Anyway, I'm not sure I answered that question. But
No, you did. You've been around for the evolution of it all.
Not at all. I don't remember I saw the videos of Garrett with the eyepiece, where he has the eyepiece on with a wire going down to the camera. I was like, how did he do that? You know,
that was the brown stabilizer.
The brown stabilizer. Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And how did he do it? How did he do that? It's amazing. And now
I don't know.
They'll be saying in probably another 3 or 4 years, how did you do the shot without a wave? How did you not have a wave? They'll be saying that about the tools that, you know, that they'll be used to tomorrow, you know? So, yeah, it was a deep process, a very deep process.
Thank you for sharing.
Wait to get some other guys. I'd love to hear this is from my perspective, from where I sat, because like David and Chris, they were really more into the technical. David Emmerich and Chris Harhoff were really more into the technical side of Steadicam. I wasn't really. I was friends of theirs, and I was brought in, and my opinion was taken. And I appreciate it, but Chris is really like the dynamic balancing king. If you ever want to sit down and have theory talk to you about dynamic balancing, bring Chris Harhoff into the conversation. You have to.
That's really great. Yeah.
Can I take a little pause for a moment?
Yeah.
Is that possible, just for one moment?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Give me 1 moment. I'll be right back.
Happy pause.
Pausing. Chris, I think
Back.
he's gonna come back. You're funny. Chris, I think we're gonna pull another one from the audience once he's back. But what I think we could do is, Jess, there's a question that is, do you have a favorite rig and why? And I think that you could potentially talk about the idea of favorite rig and kind of give your insight as to, you know, the various manufacturers and the idea of like, I know you're a pro owner, is that correct?
I am a pro owner, but I learned everything about Steadicam through Tiffin Steadicam, which is the company that bought Cinema Products, which is the company we were talking about that Kirk used to own Cinema Products equipment, which was a 3A. There is no, I don't know what to say. There's different preferences of rig styles and comfort levels and functions of what you need to do your job. Cinema Products, basically now you can find those rigs at steadicamforum.com. A lot of people sell them. You can find them on eBay. I was an owner of a Steadicam EFP, which was a Cinema Products rig. Friends of mine own a Tiffin Ultra. I also learned on a Tiffin Clipper. The first rig I ever tried on in my life was a Tiffin Steadicam Flyer. So, you know, MKV is a company out of Europe. They do sleds. We have XES Ultimate, which is Greg Bubb. He makes sleds out of his home. You have GPI Pro, which are now located in Washington, and they're still very much part of the Steadicam community, cranking out the amazing arms. I mean, if the best rig is literally a hybrid of different companies' products put together. So, you know, you have a Walter Classen vest with the Pro arm, and maybe you have the new M2 Tiffin rig with the Volt that seems to be, you know, the new rig on the market right now that people want. So it just all depends on your preference and your body style. And the vest will always be from a different company, depending on, you know, how much back support you want. It just depends. The Pro is the lightest vest on the market at 6.4 pounds. And I believe the Walter Klassen vest is the heaviest vest on the market.
It's heavy.
No,
So
it's
it
great.
just depends.
No, that's very helpful, I think, to understand that there's no one rig to rule them all. It's about preference and comfort and what you feel like best serves you as the operator. Chris, do you got another one for us?
Yes, I have one from Campbell Rice. What is the most memorable scene where you had to push past the pain for the benefit of the story?
Repeat that question. You broke up in the middle of the question.
Okay, so what is the most memorable scene you had to push past the pain for the benefit of the story? So one that kind of like hurt you so much physically, but was worth it.
The pain. Okay. There's this training I do with myself. I've done it since I started. I don't stop filming until I hear cut. That's number one. And sometimes I keep filming after the word cut. And sometimes for an actor, those are great moments because they're not through acting. I'm going to answer that question, but I just had to say this because sometimes I find directors that I monitor in the other room in some cases. And it's just you and the actor in this one room. And you're filming, it comes to the end of the scene that you rehearsed and you freeze on their face or something, you're holding. And they're acting, they're still acting. And you'll hear cut from the other room. And the actor's not through acting. He's, or she, stuck with the hinge. They're still coming into the moment or out of the moment, whatever. You just stay there, just stay there. Now, sometimes that's the end of a 4-minute shot and you're holding the Steadicam and you're right there and you're holding it and you're holding it and you hear cut and you want to release so bad, but you can still see the actor is still in it. And so you just hold the camera and you're in a lot of pain at this point possibly, and you hold it until the actor releases. And then I'll pull the camera away and drop away. That happens sometimes, not all the time. It's not like you're disobeying orders, but you're pushing past that pain and you're waiting to hear the word cut. So what's the scene? I'll go back to the question now. I just had to, sometimes the actor dictates the cut. I could say that safely. Okay, a memorable scene where I had to push past the pain. Well, there was the 13-minute shot that we did, which was in a park. I say I won't mention names because I've given this whole story behind and the operator may not care to have that known, but he was really cool. It was a shot that went all over this park. It followed this little kid and went down into this valley and across a stage and around by a little pond and up a big hill. And you get to the end of the shot, and at the very end of the shot, I'm supposed to wipe past a telephone pole. And this wipe is going to connect to the next shot, which is going to pick up wiping out of a telephone pole. And then it continues as a oneer. So that whole episode was supposed to look like one big take. That was the idea. It was a TV show. And at the end of that 13-minute take, on the first take, I thought I was gonna die. I thought I can't do this take again. This is not gonna happen. I'm not gonna be able to do this again. And when I'm breathing like crazy, dying over here, I hear, okay, everybody back to one, we're going again. And I thought, does this director not care about me? This is killing me. So we get down to, I think it was take 8. On take 8 I thought I was just gonna collapse. My legs were gonna fall in. And I'm holding the camera and I'm holding the camera down in the shot, waiting for this person to come up the hill and go past the telephone pole. And I had to wait. And in this particular scene, the actor decided they were gonna add a little something. And this took more time and the timing was all different. And I thought I was gonna die. And I'm just holding that camera and trying to keep that composed frame of a landscape in the background and a foreground think it was a foreground light or something. And as he crossed, finally he crosses in that pan. And in that case, crossing the telephone pole dictated the cut. There was no more acting could be done on the other side of the telephone pole. So as soon as I completely cleared the telephone pole, I released, and I just fell. Everybody ran in and grabbed me. So that was the time that I had to push past the pain of a shot.
Can I interject there? Is there a time where you've had to push past the emotion of a shot? I know that you and I have talked, and you've said movies like Selena, which is right there playing in my background, and Pursuit of Happiness, you know, were things that really, really meant something while you were filming it. And as an operator myself, it's, you know, you have to get the shot, but also you're getting that emotion first. You're receiving it first because you're holding the lens in front of their face. So you're experiencing that process as well. How do you push past that?
That's interesting. Yeah, Pursuit of Happiness.
We also have a clip.
I hope it's not that particular clip of where I got emotional, but
we will see.
Oh, it is. That is the one, the top one.
There it goes.
That's the one. This is one. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. We appreciate that. But wear one tomorrow, though, okay? Because tomorrow's going to be your first day. If you'd like to work here as a broker. Would you like that, Chris?
Yes, sir.
Good. We couldn't be happier. So, welcome. Was it as easy as it looked?
No, sir. No, sir, it wasn't.
Good luck, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, sir. This little part is called happiness.
I didn't notice because I was so into it that we lost Kirk.
He abandoned us.
He didn't abandon us. He's off in the pursuit of happiness. While we try to reconnect Kirk, I'll see if I can find a quick one from the audience.
I have one from the audience, and maybe just could
try it.
Answer this, or Sarah May or Carmen. Somebody wants to know a funny Steadicam story. Something that maybe was embarrassing that happened to you on set.
Oh, Kirk had a power outage. He's texting me right now.
Oh no.
Here. Use your phone. So he's dealing with that right now. He's gonna try and come back on, but they had a power outage in this neighborhood. So what was the question again?
Has anything embarrassing happened to you while you're Steadicam operating?
Oh, I think a lot of embarrassing things happen to a lot of us while we're Steadicam operating or camera operating. It just depends. I remember when I was 40 pounds heavier when I first started on my first Steadicam job. I was a little bit out of shape and unhealthy, and didn't really take care of myself because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I was doing this shot in jeans, and I had to step up on a huge ledge. I think it was in a basement. And I stepped up and my pants ripped. And there went my ass crack out for everybody to see in my pink hearted underwear. So, yeah, you know, might want to check your body habits before you go and do a crazy shot where you have to take a huge step in tight jeans, being a fat ass. Just my opinion. Sorry, being honest.
That's why we appreciate you, because you're honest.
So honest, in fact, that I think I embarrass myself sometimes when I talk.
How do you, in a moment like that, how do you recover, like, and regain composure on set? Like, if something like that happens, like.
Younger, I didn't. I mean, I did because it was the end of the day. It was the last shot of the day, thank goodness. But I did cry when I got home.
Yeah.
And I knew people were going to go and laugh about me and say things, because that's what people do in the industry sometimes, is they like to talk. And so, but, you know, I showed up the next day with 2 pairs of pants. Lesson learned. Always bring a spare pair of pants to work.
Nice.
Do we have another question?
Yeah, I've got a general question from someone named Moha, and he's a startup filmmaker. He or she is a startup filmmaker. Where do I start to get into the industry, like stages and steps to go through, you know, to work your way into operating? And it's challenging to make your way in the industry. No one path is the same. I personally went to film school, but I know a lot of people who didn't go to film school. It's about taking advantage of the opportunities that are set before you, connecting with people who can help you along your path. Mentorship is critical in learning and growing. And if you can find people who are in your region who are willing to assist you through, you know, basically working as interns or shadowing them, you could potentially come to gain their respect and work for them, and then get your own work done through them. Oftentimes it just takes incremental steps one at a time in order to make it big. And again, if you watch any of our previous episodes, you'll see that a lot of our operators' paths are completely dissimilar. And but the one thing that they all had was the drive and dedication to pursue their dreams in working in entertainment. And so it's just as much about your willingness to go the distance as it is any individual step that you take. What else do we have here to see if, while Kirk is sorting it out?
I have
Do you got a good one, Chris?
interesting one. Yeah, this
Good.
is from Daniela Milton. She's asking if you ever had to say no to a shot, whether it was because it was dangerous or you didn't feel safe doing it, and how do you handle that? Like, what are the boundaries? How do you approach the director or the DP?
I've definitely said no to shots as an assistant. Even I was doing a small music video, and the producer and the director wanted the DP to hang out of the back of an open van to do, like, we didn't have a Steadicam, but they wanted to do the talent walking down the street and some car-to-car stuff. And I was uncomfortable with it and voiced my desire to find a different, safer way to do it, which we found eventually, you know, the way to do what they wanted to do, but safely, as, you know, like not having the operator, who was also the DP, just sitting in the back of an open vehicle. I think that we've kind of thrown, with the curveball, we've pulled in our friend Jeff Molstock, who was a guest a couple of weeks ago. Oh, and now we have Kirk back. And so we're just going to move forward with all of our friends. I don't see a reason for Jeff to go away. Jeff, can you unmute yourself? Let's see. Kirk's back. Hi, Kirk. Welcome back.
Hey, I don't know what happened around here. We had some kind of internet crash or something.
That's quite all right. We appreciate you taking the time to rejoin us. would like to move on, I guess.
Hold on, Matt.
No, go
Kirk,
ahead then.
I don't know if you've noticed, but Jeff Molstock, camera operator, Steadicam SOC. Jeff, you might have to turn up your volume. I don't know if we can hear you.
Hey, man.
But there you go. He joined us when the power went out as a fail-safe. So,
Oh, good. I'm glad you guys have backup. It's good.
So
Okay.
he's here. He's a big fan. You know, both you guys. I'm sure you guys know each other.
Bring that picture back up again.
We've never met, Kirk, but I'm a huge fan, man. And I just jumped in to help out a brother.
Oh, okay. Hey. Oh, okay. Yeah, we haven't worked together? He's breaking up.
Oh, man.
He's breaking up. Can you hear him, Jessica?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah,
I can hear.
I'm in a shitty spot. Let me get a look.
So Jeff was on our previous Q&A 2 weeks ago, and
Okay.
we worked with we interviewed him and his focus technician Bobby Mancuso.
Bobby Mancuso. We know Bobby.
See, yeah. So and Jeff's been recovering actually from the COVID stuff, and he's about 9-10 weeks now. Jeff, 10 weeks.
Something like that, yeah.
He went through it, really?
He documented it, and
oh wow, he filmed the whole thing.
What's a guy to do, right?
Yeah, well, that's a smart move. They probably want your footage badly.
Funny you. Yeah, there's actually a documentary company in England that's talking to me about using the footage.
There you go.
But anyway, this is all your gig, man. I'm a big fan of yours. I'm happy to meet you like this. And as a fellow Steadicam guy, I saw you went down. I just offered my services.
Thank you, man. Thank you for stepping in. I'll keep your phone number when this happens on set.
Please do, man. But carry on. I'm enjoying the stories.
He'll be here in a minute. Wait.
All right. What do we got next, Matt?
So, Sarah May, I think, or am I a liar?
Wait. I'm sorry, Matt. I'm very sorry.
No, it's okay. Do you remember where you were? Yeah.
I wanted to answer that question that Jessica posed because that was an interesting question that she had about where do you stop emotionally, right, Jessica?
That is what she was talking about. Yeah, she's muted,
Yeah.
but yes, she asked about connecting with the actors and how you remember that you're doing a job and not, watching a movie.
Right. And that it's not much of an answer because I guess everybody has their own answer how they're going to act, how they're going to react. There's two instances. One was this with the film you showed. I can't believe you had that footage, and that's amazing. But it was really something in that scene where Will gets the job. He finally gets, after all the stuff he's been through, he finally gets the job. And just filming that, sitting there handheld, it was 2 cameras. Maurice McGuire is the B camera on that. I believe it was Maurice. Or was it Faden? Faden might have been on the B camera. It was Maurice or Faden. And just holding it there, I started to cry with Will because I don't know. First of all, the whole film was personal to me, as without really getting into it. The guy who the story's about, his last name is Gardner, and he was there, and he's black, and he was telling me his story, and we're telling his story, and he's telling me the real deal while we film it. It was just too much. It was too much. And watching him get that job, the way Will pulled that off, I started crying behind it. Order was getting into the eyepiece, and I'm trying to hold the camera still, but not let the water get out of the camera. And it was just very emotional. You got to hold it. You have to hold the camera. You cannot break down. It's your job. You can't get emotional with it, but you do have to get emotional to stay into it. Because if he had dropped his head, or if he had suddenly stood up, or if he'd have suddenly, you know, I don't know, moved, because I think I had a close-up like this on him, then you got to follow that. You got to be ready to go with it. You can't be too much into it. But yeah, you can be drawn into, I think Will's a really good actor, but you can be drawn into a story. The other time that happened was when we were filming Tears of the Sun. It was a wide shot that we're shooting of the African village. And we were setting up the shot, and I'm sitting at my camera who has the wide shot, and I'm watching, this is really weird, but I'm watching the prop guys. They're laying out, because the place is on fire as well, so there's a lot of effects going on, and you can't have real people out there. So they're dragging these dummies around, which are supposed to be the villagers that are dead. And they're dragging them because, you know, they're weight, and they're trying to place these dummies in different parts of the village, and that's on fire. And this is in no way is this kind of a racist thing. It's just a vision. But I'm watching like these big white guys. They're dragging these black dummies, I guess you call them, that are dressed as the villagers. They're just dragging them down the road. And it was the weirdest visual I'd ever seen. And then we got ready to film it, and I broke down. I couldn't film it because I couldn't get rid of watching these big white guys dragging these black dummies down this road to place them. They were just placing, they were doing their job. No racism, anything involved, just doing their job. And it affected me. I just couldn't film for a while. I couldn't shoot because I was kind of shaken by it, the visual of it. So anyway, I couldn't get over that emotion. I had to wait. There was nothing I could do at that point. But it can get emotional when filming things, and you just have to go with it. You do your job. Stick. Why are you there? That's why you're there. And the real thing, capture that moment. Capture. This is the Academy Award-winning moment, and you're filming it. You know, think about it like that, so you don't break down. That's what also keeps you holding that camera, and you're about to fall down and you can't do it anymore. Keep holding. This could be that Academy Award-winning moment for him or her. And you got to do your job. You got to stay in there. You got to do your job.
That's great. Thank you for sharing those moments. They're very touching.
Thanks for the question. Jessica brought that. Thanks for the question, Jessica.
Carmen, do you have another question lined up for us?
I do. So you've worked on some pretty big movies like Southpaw, Training Day, and Pursuit of Happiness. What was it like working on your first big Hollywood film as an operator? Like, how nerve-wracking was that?
Okay. I'm trying to think of the first big Hollywood film. When I said it was I'ma Get You Sucker, that was a lot of waiting on the truck because I was there to do Steadicam only, not B camera as well. Okay, I think it
what
would
about
be
Scream? Do you think Scream might have been? That's on your IMDb that you worked on Scream and Scream 2.
Yeah, that's deep. That's kind of into the career there a bit. That's
Okay.
years. I mean, what was Scream? 2000?
No, it's 95.
95? Okay. 95? Scream is 95?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem that long ago. It really doesn't. But I'd done some films since before Scream. But the question, how did I feel? All right, let me think. Okay, so I did this film called, I can't remember the name. Neon City. It's called Neon City, and I was out of town. This is my very first film out of town. This is not a good answer. It's not a good example. I'm trying to, your question is, how did I feel? Is that I want to get this right so I don't blow
Yeah,
it.
I mean, like, were you nervous at all working on like your a big film?
Okay, all right. I gotta bring it back again. Because it's weird, because when I did I'ma Get You Sucker, it wasn't like a huge, $100 million movie, but it was a big film to me because it was my first film. So I'm trying to think of when I got, okay, how about this? Let me try to answer it this way. I got to do Avatar. I got to go work on Avatar. I'm not listed in the credits because Dave Emmerichs is the operator on that show. I was just brought in for 2 weeks. This was, to me, a challenge because I could consider this a very big show, as in with the talent, the equipment, and the director. And I was extremely nervous going to work on this because I had heard that James Cameron was very demanding, and I'd heard a lot of stories. And all I knew was that just do your work, do your job, do your best, do your best, do your best. That's all that I could think to do. And then I had to think about why I'm nervous. Well, why are you nervous? Because I may blow it. Well, you're not going to blow it. That's the first thing, Kirk. You're not going to blow it. So that immediately goes out the window. Whatever it is you're going to do, you're going to do it well. So that's your main thought. Not about the mess up, but how great it's going to go. Once you get past that bridge, I think that it's just, you're creating a problem being nervous. Now you have to look at it as, I'm just making a problem being nervous. So stop. Just stop. It's going to go great. The shot's going to work. And if it doesn't work well, then we're going to do it again. If it doesn't work well, we'll do it again. And if that doesn't work well, I did my best. And that's all you can say. The other thing is, egos are a really powerful thing on set. People wanting to be in control of things. And when you get there, you're there to do this job that you were brought in to do. And you need to do the steps that you need to do to make it happen. Okay? You are going to walk through a living room doing a shot. You preview that living room. You see this couch is going to be in your way. You talk to the set dressers. You tell them, we got to work this couch out. I mean, you don't tell them you have to move this couch. You work with them. This couch is in my way. I know we want it in the shot because it's part of the room. Let's work it out. You have to start doing your job. All these other egos, you have to tiptoe around in some cases, and in some cases you just have to ignore to do your job. Because when that shot comes out right and you needed to do the things you did, that's all that matters. And that's what you have to see, that the shot's going to work. It's going to come out right. But the way Kirk works, it's a team effort. It is not your shot. Even though you're the one going to perform it, it is a team effort. Your dolly, I wanted to get into that a little bit, but your dolly grip is going to be watching your back while you're moving through this, I said, living room. The DP has lit it in such a way where you can't look out this particular window. So you got to make sure you don't pan over that way and see this particular light that's sitting out the window that's going to light the person. You've got to work with the team, and they got to work with you. So that whole nervousness thing, once you get into your job and start doing the details of what is necessary to do, I kind of think the nervousness has no room anymore, because you're working now. You're not worrying, you're working. And you're watching that set all the time. There's really no time to worry, I think. Now, I told you I was nervous when I was going to do the Avatar thing. But once I got there, once I drove out, I was nervous. And once I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my thing. And once I got to that set, I was so focused on my job, what I was supposed to do. I forgot about nerves. I forgot that James Cameron was supposed to be a tough guy to work with and that whole thing. I just knew we got to do this shot. This is what I got to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is, okay, let's do it. Let's start working. And I think I just filled my mind with the job at hand and put nervousness on the back burner. It didn't have room. There was no place for it. So that's what you do. Now going for an interview with the DP, that's probably another story, because you're not going to work. You're going to try to get the work. And I don't know what to tell you on that. That's all in your personality. It'll come through. But as for the job, I just don't think you have time to be nervous. You have to focus on, and there are many, many, many things to focus on on a set, on doing your job. And the attitudes, you just have to let go in one ear and out the other. You really do. I think if you're working with a crew that respects you, you can get through it. If you're working with a crew, I'm getting on edgy territory here. You're working with a crew that I want to say doesn't respect you. They're testing you. You can feel this way. You can feel like I'm being tested. These people are not for me here. You still have to go through with the work. You still have to pull it off. So you still have to keep your mind on the job. And push through it. And every time you do it better the next time. Because you are a work in progress with that situation. It's going to happen again. And you're going to know what to do. And you're going to push through it. And it's going to work for you. And the time it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But in most cases, you're doing the right thing. You're doing your job. So that nervousness thing, you just don't have time to do. I hope I answered that question. It was a hard question.
Yeah,
it's a hard question.
Yeah,
it's hard. Don't ask me hard questions like that anymore.
I don't know that the next one's going to get much easier because I know Sarah May's got a great one lined up. Let's hear it, Sarah May.
Yeah. So I was wondering, because I feel like we're starting to see more Black stories being told on screen and more being made for Black creators behind the camera. I was just wondering, are you seeing that push for more diversity translate on set? Because sometimes, we think it's really diverse, but you still end up in a room that is predominantly white. And how do you navigate that space and push for that diversity?
Well, I think first, if you have the power, like my camera assistants, Willie Estrada, I'm going crazy here, Emil Hampton, Davey Carruthers. I try to bring diversity with me, in a sense. That's step one, if you're allowed to bring your first AC. Marie Pedersen, longtime first assistant. You bring it with you. I think that's the first sign that you want diversity. And other than that, I'm not sure there's anything to work through. You can't change the set, that you've walked into, but you can bring it with you if you can bring it with you. And here we go again, kind of what I just said. You do your job. I personally, I don't know if you're referring to racism or just racism, or you're referring to being the only woman on set.
No, just kind of like navigating that space, because sometimes I find myself to be just the only Black woman, or so it's just an interesting dynamic sometimes. Or when you hear that there's a lot of diversity on set and you don't quite see it all the time, sometimes that can be a little bit frustrating, but also, like you said, it's kind of just about showing up to do your job. Yeah.
One thing I say, don't believe the hype. This is important. I think it's important, is that I try not to, I'll hear that there's this DP, this show that I'm going to work on. Oh, this DP's a monster. This guy's a screamer, and oh man, nobody likes working with him. Kirk, be careful. I don't want to hear that. Let me experience it first. I'm not going in prepared to fight. I'm going in prepared to do my job. And sometimes I find that these people aren't monsters. These people aren't, it was their experience that, they experienced this DP being a monster. So this is going to be, some people are going to send me letters on this, but I'm not saying that I go on set not being Black. I have always tried not to think about it. I'm a filmmaker. I'm one of the, and then somebody comes up and says the N-word to you or something. Okay, we got a problem. This is my whole vision just blows up now. Now I got to go a whole different direction. No one's ever done that. You know, I can't say that I've felt racial equality, inequality, but I know there are people on set that have told me. Maybe it's my position, what I've come on to do. Maybe my reputation has preceded me. Maybe. But I honestly try not to think about being Black on an all-white set. I am the Steadicam operator and the only one on this set. That's how I try to think about it professionally. And I've not, so when I get onto a crew that's diverse, I'm so happy I don't know what to do. Ava DuVernay, I was so happy to be on her set. You know, oh my gosh, you made me think of Ava DuVernay. Oh my gosh. And I know this is Selena, I think, right? No? What is this one?
That is the Mask of Zorro.
Mask of Zorro. Okay, down in Mexico. Well, everybody was Mexican on that one, at least the whole thought was they were. I'm sure some guys from horror and stuff, but I lost my thought on that. I'm sorry.
Actually, Kirk, I came in and covered you the last few days and the pickup shots on Wrinkle of Time.
Oh, that's right. You told me you did. Yeah, you did. Well, how did you feel about the set?
It was one of the greatest experiences of my life.
Okay.
To watch a director come into a room and say hi to everyone and know their names. And personally came up to me and let me know that she had looked at my stuff and was glad to have me there.
Did she really?
Yeah.
That's Ava. I can say nothing but good about Ava. Her documentary, the 13. Her documentary, it came out while we were shooting The Wrinkle in Time. And when we came on set that Monday or whatever, it was a weekend, I guess, that I saw it. I had to go up to her and hug her and cry and couldn't believe I'm standing with a woman who did that movie, who did that documentary. And here she is running this show, which I thought she ran well. It was a big movie. It was a lot of effects. It was a lot of emotions that they had to convey with all these effects. She's working with children. I thought Ava was fantastic. I really did. And the whole set was not Black, you know, which was kind of, was interesting. It was good being diverse. Having a diverse set is almost better than having an all one race set, you know, because somebody's going to be the odd man out then, right? But when it's a very diverse set, no one's the odd man out. And it feels good. Selena, Pursuit of Happiness, the sets work, and I'm down in Texas working on a show called Panic. The crew is just so great. It's good to work with a good crew. No matter how low budget the movie may be or how bad the script may be if it's bad, but the crew makes it all what it is. It can be a very bad experience or it can be a very good experience. Thanks to the crew, no matter how good or bad the film is. I hope I answered your question. I really do.
Yeah, definitely.
You can't. I just don't think about being Black on the set. This is maybe a cruel thing to say, especially what's going on right now. But if I did, I would hear whispers. I would be paranoid. I would be angry. I would have an attitude. And I don't want to have all that when I go to work. I like filmmaking. I want to enjoy the shoot. And you should, hopefully you can feel that way. But when you have all that, those whispers, and you got to just phase it out and do your job. I hope I answered your question.
Totally, yeah.
Okay.
That was an amazing answer. Thank you.
We support earnest conversation here, and that was sincere. Chris, do you have another one from the audience for us?
I have one from Fraser Reed. When you're doing shots close to actors, do you feel invasive? And how do you deal with that?
You have fun. You have fun with it. Yeah, I do not feel invasive. I feel like I'm part of the process. There's a reason I'm that close to the actor. There's a reason they are where they are. Okay, so I'm going to tell this one little thing. So I hope I don't get in trouble. I'm thinking about this. See, you think about things too long, it doesn't happen, right? You got to just go with the moment. Anyway, it's a shot with Monica Bellucci. She's an Italian actress. This is on Tears of the Sun. And an explosion has just happened, and she's knocked out. She's knocked out in this explosion. She's laid back on the ground. And the director wanted a shot of her looking straight down on her face, because the idea is that suddenly she catches her breath and she raises up out of the shot. Okay, that's the shot. That's this one cut. So I'm doing this shot, and the only way to get this, and they wanted a handheld feeling because it was an explosion. So I'm holding the camera. I'm standing over Monica Bellucci, pointing the camera straight down at her face. So she's flat on the ground, and I'm straight over the top of her like this. And then on the count of whatever count the director says, she sits straight up, and she has to go out of frame. And I think the lens was like a 50 or 40 mil. And so we did it from 2 different angles too. So I'm standing over the top of her with the camera pointed straight down. And she sits up in the action, and her face comes right to my stomach. And I'm holding the camera. And cut. And I break away, and I just walk away with the camera. I didn't really notice where she went. I didn't notice. And then we do one more take. And she comes up, and I looked, because I thought the camera was going to hit her head for a minute, because I'm a little too low. And I noticed how she came right to my stomach. And so her head was resting against my stomach at the end of the shot. I thought you can get no closer to people than this, like this, in front of 100 people, as a crew. She was awfully close to me. And I thought, ooh, okay, all right, thank you. And I went to her afterwards. I said, thank you for being so professional about this. And she was like, no problem. That's why we're here. And she said some wonderful words, and that was it. So that was very invasive. We were in very close quarters, and it was just kind of a weird moment. So no, I didn't feel invasive. I didn't feel invasive during the shot, but afterwards you see how it really was. It's part of the process. It's part of what you have to do. An actor has to stand next to you for eye line. He gets close, or she gets close to you next to the camera. They have to be there. That's where they have to be. So hopefully you brushed your teeth and you have your deodorant on and you're not stinking up the place, and they don't mind standing next to you, especially if it's Julia Roberts, or if it's I'm trying to think of who I had next to me that day. And it was a hard Steadicam day, and I know I was like, woo! So yeah, it can be, it's part of the process. That's all I have to say. Don't be embarrassed. Don't feel nervous about it. It's part of the process.
And actually, to add to that, I've noticed that sometimes the actors are spoiling you because they can eavesdrop to the conversation and help make things better, like, stepping a little bit forward or leaning on the right side or whatever. Mm-hmm. Being in that space, the actors are listening to us as well. They can hear the things, the choices we're making. And so some actors I've noticed will adjust the camera voluntarily without us even having to talk to them.
Oh, you're absolutely right. They know eye line. They know some are experienced enough to know camera. Oh yes, they can help you. Denzel Washington is very good at that. He really knows camera. I'm starting to mention names. I'm getting in trouble, but he really knows camera. He can help bring that eye around. He can help or take it away. All right, I'm getting too involved, but yes, the actors can really help you if they know, and they can hurt you too if they don't. I'll just put it that way too. They don't, they can hurt you. Did that answer your question?
Yes, I think so.
Yes? Okay. All right, cool.
All right, next. What do you got for us, Matt?
Jeff, since you've joined us, I'm curious if you might have one to ask Kirk.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, Jeff's going to break up.
Oh, boy. I hope it's okay. I'm unprepared here. I just, someone sent me a question here. I'm going to paraphrase because I don't know how to get back to that screen. I'm on my iPhone. But basically, can you give someone advice how to transition from school or another industry into our industry? Does that sound close enough, Matt?
Yeah, it's just a tough question.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah. How do you transition into our industry from school or from another industry? Wow. I guess it depends on where you're coming from and where you're going to in our industry, right? Do you mean to come into Steadicam?
Well, this is a question that came, I guess, from the group. So I think we could probably define it as a Steadicam question.
Okay, so they're coming into Steadicam and they're coming away from college, or?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's think of it being from college. Yeah.
Yeah. How would you advise somebody?
Well, I guess who's your local Steadicam operator is probably a good start. You know, like who's the big guy in town, and why not ring their doorbell? I mean, well, now it's all super easy. Email. You know, you can get their email address and contact them. Hey, I'm interested in doing Steadicam, and go from there. That might be something I would do. I'd go right to the source, I guess, to figure out, hey, what do you think I should do? I think it's the first move. Contact another Steadicam operator. Get involved. Get into the SOA. Get involved into that field that you want to get involved into.
Yeah, I think doing research on what Steadicam is, what the technology is, if there's any educational material out there to prepare yourself, and to, each one of those is an avenue. If you Google Steadicam, you'll see it takes you to a website that has workshops.
Oh.
And somewhere on that website is a link to go to Amazon to buy the Steadicam Operator's Manual.
Okay.
So
wow.
It's like, these are all these little, these little steps. But, sometimes it takes doing a little bit of extra research, I think, to know where to go, or at least to try and have a start.
I want to say something about that too, though, about a person. When somebody comes to me and says they're interested in doing Steadicam, I ask them why. Why are you interested? What is it that interests you in Steadicam? And hear their explanation. And I've said to some people, maybe Steadicam's not what you want to do. Sounds like you want to be a DP, or it sounds like you want to be an actor. I mean, it depends on what they say. I ask because I have to say I would like to spend time with someone who's interested in what I do. And that's why I ask them, what are you interested in? And it's important. Their answer is very important. And I ask them to be honest, because this may not be the field, at least from what you're telling me. It sounds like you want to be a sound man. Or it sounds like you want to be an AC. Yeah, I mean, I need to know. I will push you in the right direction, either way it goes, if I know which direction to push you into. But it's important to know why I think you want to do this thing you want to do.
Just a small follow-up, Kirk,
Mm-hmm.
if I may. What do you want to be when you grow up? Sorry to get you in the mouthful.
I can't believe you said this.
You know what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah. So yes, I got into this not to be a Steadicam operator, but to be a director, a writer-director. I still write. I've directed a few things, but directing is what I'm still working and doing. And I'm not dead. I've got many years to get there. So not really, not much time. Jeff, thank you, Jeff. Thanks for pulling that out.
You started second unit directing too, right?
Started. I did some second unit directing, yes. Antoine Fuqua gave me my first gig in doing second unit. I think I did a good job. I enjoyed it. It was fun, to be honest.
Was that King Arthur, correct?
King Arthur, yeah.
With Keira Knightley?
Yes. I don't think I ever got to work with her because she was never second unit. So I don't think she ever came over to our outfit. Very enjoyable. Oh, I had a picture with the Wodes. I should have brought the picture. But anyway, yeah, good experience. And I really appreciate Antoine letting me do that. So I hope I did him well. He said I did, so.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Next question.
Yes, we will go to the next question from the audience at this time.
So I have one from, and I apologize if I say this wrong, Rumil Chauhan. What is your preparation before going into the shoot? Like, do you get involved choosing camera, lenses? Like, what is your whole process from when you get hired to when you step on set with the gear, in regards to the gear?
Okay, so depends on what it is. If it's a full show, you're going to be 3 or 4 months out there, you know, or if it's day playing, you're just showing up to do that shot and that's it for that day. It used to be that you were either doing Panavision, Airflex, or movie cam, as I remember with film. You were going to use one of those 3 cameras. So you were prepared for any one of those 3 cameras. So it wasn't really a big question to know. Now it could be, who knows, it could be the Red, it could be the Black Magic, it could be the Arri, it could be Panavisions, it could be Sonys, it could be all these different cameras. So in my preparation, I really want to know about the job. What's the job? You know, you're hiring me to do this. What are we doing? Oh, this is the job. This is the movie. Here comes the script. The DP may have some idea. There's going to be a lot of handheld in this show. It's going to be a lot of Steadicam, or there's probably not much of it, or maybe a fair amount. We'll see. Or the director really doesn't know what he wants. A lot of questions cannot be answered, and a lot of answers are lies, because when you get there, it'll be something completely different than what you talked about 2 months ago. So you really can't depend on it. You just come prepared. Camera-wise, yeah, you ask, hey, what cameras are we using? You may want to go down to the rental house, check out that camera, just to see is there something new, something different about it, that, you know, your last show, you use this Airflex, but, this Arri, but your next show, you're using a different kind of Arri. You said Arri, but you didn't say Arri 65, you know, you didn't tell me it was a whole different camera. So that kind of stuff you find out, and a lot of information that happens on set you may not get to talk about. Special shots. Uh-oh. Still there? Everybody still there?
We are, and you are too.
Okay, everything froze on my screen again like it did before. Okay.
We're in the clear.
All right, cool. Yeah, things are going to change for when you get on set from what you were told in a lot of cases. What else is in prep? Of course, the money is talked about. The deal is made. Sometimes the show is talked about before the deal is complete. Sometimes the deal isn't complete till you're almost there. It can happen. I happen to have an agent, and she's very good. She does well for me. Other people have other agents. Some people have no agents. Work the deal yourself. What else?
Terrain, atmosphere. Do you get to those conversations in the beginning?
Those conversations come up if they're drastic. If the DP said, "Oh, I have to tell you, we're going to be working in the desert the whole time," or he'll say, "Oh, we're going to be in the mountains," or "It's all going to be near the water," or blah 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 blah. Usually, I don't discuss much about the terrain. Now, if it's a special like a commercial, real good example, a Nike commercial. A company called me to do a Nike commercial, and I was like, "Oh, cool." And I said, "Okay, where is this?" Down in Mexico, outside of Mexico City. And I said, "Oh, good, I've been there." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "So what's the shot?" Now I'm talking about a commercial, so now you're asking about this because it could be very special and specific. He says, "Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the temples, and we're going to take the runner, athlete is going to run up the temple, and you're going to chase behind him in low mode and film the shoes." And I thought about it. I said, "The temple? What temple?" And I can't remember the city, but it's one of the cities outside of Mexico City. They have those beautiful temples. And I remember climbing that temple. And I thought, oh, is he going to be running? Oh, yeah, he's going to be running. And I said, okay, yeah. You want me to run up behind him on these temple stairs in low mode and chase an athlete up the stairs? Yep, that's it. I said, okay. I hate to tell you this, but I don't think I'm the guy for the job. Because I remember me going up those stairs without a camera. And I could barely get up those stairs walking. It was just like, and they're all uneven. They're not all perfect. And I just saw me tripping up. I physically don't think I can do this shot. And I just told the guy on the phone, I don't think I can do it. And I gave him the name of a very good Steadicam operator who's not with us anymore, Jeff Marked, who they called the Mountain.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yep, he would do it. He did it probably, right?
He did it. And I saw the commercial. And I said, go, Jeff, go. Because you could see that he ran up and down the stairs with this guy. You could see it in the takes at different angles. And so that was a job where it was important to know the terrain. It was very specific. So yeah, sometimes you want to know that. Sometimes you want to be, but a general movie, no, I don't really. It's in the city. I'm going to Atlanta to shoot a pilot. Okay. It's going to happen in the city. Okay, kind of figured that out, but he's going to tell, oh, yeah, we're going to be on the top of buildings the whole time. It's about, the whole thing takes place on the top of a building. Okay, so we're going to be out in this hazard territory now. Thanks for telling me. But other than that, I really don't ask too much about terrain and stuff.
Thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
Oh, just a quick note to Jeff Mart. First big rig I ever tried on was Jeff's rig at a workshop.
How did it fit you? How was that possible?
I was swimming in it.
Yeah, Jeff was a good dude. He was a good dude.
It was right after he rolled around on the bicycle wearing the Steadicam.
bicycle? Was he the first to do the bicycle?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah, I remember seeing him do that. I was like, Jeff, you're gonna fall. You're gonna fall. He's like,
he didn't care.
I'm not correct. He didn't fall either. It's like, yeah, I won't be doing that. Yeah, he was cool. He was a very strong guy. I remember that. Yeah.
Very nice man.
Carmen, do you have another one for us at this time?
I do. So how much of the Warner scene which you operated for Murder in the First was planned in pre-production, and how much rehearsal time were you given before shooting?
Okay. The one in the jail cell, they told me about that when I first got on the show. So I knew the director. God, here it is. I knew the director from a previous film, Mark Rocco, and I think he called me, or I came down to an office or something. And this is before we even started filming. And he talked about this shot. This is the shot he talked about doing. So I knew months in advance, well, to say weeks in advance, about doing this shot.
Nice day, huh? Yeah, great.
And just looking at it, that figuring out how to get through those bars and make it look like you just went through the bars, that was probably out of 3 hours of rehearsal, that was like 45 minutes of trying to figure out how we're going to go through these bars. The door's supposed to look closed. It still didn't work to me, though. I didn't think that part worked. Because they were going to CGI those bars in.
Listen, where are you going? I'm going to the cell, talk to my client. What are you, nuts? I'd like to speak to him face to face.
Sorry, I'm watching the shot. This is hard to answer the question when you're watching the shot. You see every mistake that you made. I can see every mistake.
You're welcome to discuss the shot while we're watching
okay.
it. You can answer the question afterwards.
Okay.
I do notice that you do hide getting in and out, I think, seamlessly.
We're trying to, but I personally never felt that. I always felt you felt yourself going through. I thought the idea was not to feel the transition into the jail cell and out of it.
Mr. Young, I will be acting as your defense attorney. My name
And Christian Slater's really, at that time, I don't know, he's a cool cat to me. And very cooperative on hitting marks. And these foreground bars, here we go, we slip in.
And then you slip out.
And then we slip out. And we talked, I think we had done it where I didn't go in, where I went all the way around to the other side. We had moved the bed over more to the middle of the cell so he would be closer to the frame when I was on the other side of the cell. It's kind of tricky. And these bars, oh my gosh, the bars are just a giveaway in level.
Both have to at least be able and willing to answer up when her name is
And finding them through that one bar, his head and his head. And I think this is the end of it, right?
Yes. Now, was that a crane you
That was
stepped on?
it was a tulip. I think it's a tulip crane. It's a tulip crane. And you just stepped on it. You know, the ones that used to flip over? At least they had the reputation of flipping over if they weren't. But that key grip on that show, oh my gosh, that's, they named a device after him. Oh, Bob, I can't think of his name. He's a great key grip. He can invent a lot of stuff really quickly. There's another shot in that. There's actually 3 oneers that I remember in Murder in the First. That one, the one in the courtroom, and then there's a walk and talk with Christian and the hero lady. I can't think of her name. Out up in Pasadena at the Pasadena City Hall, and I really feel the jail cell was the only kind of forced one. I felt it was when I say forced, I mean it probably would have been nice in cuts as well. You know, beautifully set shots in the cell and of live shots, just the two of them without the camera moving at all. And so when you look at it, it's not that it was a wrong decision. I just felt I'm trying to make you stay your attention on them, but these bars keep going through. And if those bars weren't perfectly level as they cross, it just felt like you were getting taken out of it a little bit for me. So, but he talked about this shot, you know, weeks in advance, so we're going to do it. Marcus determined. But there's 2 other wonders in there, though. Go ahead, Jessica. I'm sorry.
Did you feel that your camera wasn't level? Because I mean, it definitely looked like it. And how many takes was that, you think, that made it in?
I can't remember the number of takes. I feel like it may have been 10 takes without variation. Once we figured the path that we're going to take, because the only way to really see it was to do it. You know, to walk with a finder wasn't going to do it. You had to do the shot so he could feel it and see it, which made sense. Yeah, there are times I felt the bars aren't level. I did. Believe me, I was cringing the whole time on that shot. I'm like, all these verticals are in the shot, and they're all dead giveaway. It's better if things are, or you have a more of a landscape, but it was like this. So anytime the bars did that, you knew that the level was off. And that's before Mr. Wave or Mr. Bolt, whatever it's called. And that's raw hand stuff. And you're squeezing through real time. The only thing that they had that was in effect was that they could break the bars away so I could go in and then close them back up. So it looked like I went through the gate. And we had to go through so close to simulate it. So, yeah, very tough shot. But I don't know if there's another shot in there that I think's a better use of the oneer that he does. It was a tricky shot. So so it was like I think it was like a day of rehearsal without shooting. I think we rehearsed the previous day, and then it was probably a couple of hours of rehearsal when we came in to shoot it, and then we shot. So it's probably what, two 2 days of actually work on to get the shot. As for set dressing, when they built it and all that kind of stuff, I don't know how long that took.
I will say, as an audience member that has watched that movie several times in the past, I feel that seeing those bars move that way helped us see the cage that, Kevin Bacon's character was put in constantly. Like the whole story was about him being caged and what had happened because of it as a result. So, I mean, I know your frustrations were there, but as someone that wasn't an operator and was not there on that set, I will say it did translate into the story to help us understand that character.
Wow, I did not see it. I didn't even think about it that way. Constantly feeling caged. Everything's from outside the bar, except when we go in. Yeah, I never. Good point, Jessica. Good point.
And even going in, when you went in through Christian Slater's perspective. So It came right back out again, and you only went in once in that shot. So you were able to bring that perspective in, and then as soon as you came back out, came the cage perspective and the feeling.
Interesting. Okay, good. Thank you. I have to, yeah. See, I didn't even think about that. I wonder if I'd have thought about that when shooting it, would I had some idea to enhance that concept? In embracing what you just said. Oh, well, then why don't I pull away a little wider or something? Blah, 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 blah. Maybe I would, but I wasn't thinking that way. Interesting.
But if you thought that way, it might have not have been executed the way it was, too.
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. It would have changed. See, our input, it might have changed. Yeah. I mean, Mark listened. It wasn't like no, you're going to do it this way. He wasn't that kind of guy. So, yeah, it might have changed things. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you, Kurt.
That's great. Thanks for sticking with us, those who are still here. We're going to go through a couple more audience questions and then call it a day. Sarah May, do you perchance have one ready for us?
I do. A couple people are wondering, do you have a favorite shoe you like to operate in? And do you switch your shoes like every 6 hours on set?
Oh, shoes. You said shoes?
Yeah, if you have a favorite operating shoe.
I switch my shoes. I change them out. I'm wearing Arc'teryx gym shoes right now. They work so well. But I don't change during the day. Maybe at lunch I might change the shoes. Depends on what weather we're in, if we're in rain or something like that. But it's usually high ankle shoes. For some reason, I like to feel my ankle being supportive. And they're never boots. I've done it barefoot when I couldn't find my gym shoes. I had none but boots. I just did it barefoot once. But yeah, I don't change out shoes a lot. I sort of keep the same ones most of the time.
Great, thank you.
I'm gonna run out and buy some shoes now, right? Okay.
Shoes are important. Comfort's important.
Comfort's very important, yeah. I mean, here's something interesting, since you mentioned about comfort. I think in probably every picture I've ever taken, I have a headband on. And somebody told me that's your signature. Your headband is your signature. And I thought, really? I wonder why it became my signature. Well, one day long ago, when I first started doing Steadicam, I was doing a commercial with, can't remember this, English cameraman. He did Out of Africa. This DP did Out of Africa. He got the Academy Award for it, but he was doing a commercial in Michigan. I was like, what's he doing in Michigan? Anyway, and I was going up some stairs, and there's a BL4, and I'm going upstairs with this BL4, and my arm exploded, and it popped, and it just broke, and the whole camera, everything dropped, and everybody ran in and grabbed it, and we saved it. And I had done a few takes of that shot, so I didn't have to do it again, but I was done for the day. And while I was doing the shot, sweat was just pouring into my face, just pouring. And I naturally sweat like crazy. But after that arm pop, I just freaked, and I was like water. And I immediately put a headband on my head, and it kept the sweat from getting in my eyes. And from that day on, because my feeling was, people thought that I was nervous And so they didn't feel confident in me doing shots because I was sweating so much. So I put the headband on to keep the sweat from falling in my eyes and coming down my face so bad where it looks like I was nervous. I guess it helped, but it definitely kept the sweat out of my eyes. So that's why I wear a headband, a sweatband all the time.
That's great.
It's crazy that, you know, sweating can change someone's perspective pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Something that simple. It's like these little tiny things you have to add to your little laundry list of things you have to do every job to make sure people understand that you know how to do your job.
Yes, and that is very important, and I realize that because it kind of is important that they feel you know you can do your job, because they're putting a lot in. That whole day of that oneer is dependent on you, right? We've set this whole thing up because you can. It's not like 3 other cameras going to cover it. We can cut around it, blah blah blah. It's all you, and so I think that they should feel some confidence oozing from you. They should feel like, oh, okay. I've had DPs walk out the room, which made me feel, cool, thank you. Leave me alone for a minute. Let me work this out. They just back off and they let you handle your business and you start making things happen. But there are some people that just stay on your back and they want to make sure you're doing everything. And you give them that space, and then you got to get out of my way for just a minute. You know, let me work this thing out. So there is a confidence that needs to be felt because a lot of production is on your back at that moment. A lot of money is on you at that moment. It's a lot of pressure if you really want to think about it. You know?
Yeah, that's $300,000 worth of gear at any moment on your body. $300,000.
That's just your gear. I'm talking about the setup. The whole set has been built for this shot. You know what I'm saying? The pressure I'm saying is production-wise, that's a lot of money and time. It's going to take an hour to do this? No, it's going to take 3 hours to do this. 3 hours? They said you can do this in an hour. Yeah, I think it's going to be a minute. We got to take that wall out. And, you know, there's things that's got to be done to make this work. There's a ramp I got to have put over here on the staircase and, you know, blah, 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 blah. So I was speaking more of pressure from production. I mean, that's a lot of money that's being spent on you doing this shot. And they built the whole thing just to do it, for you to do this. So that pressure about money, you just don't think about, but I feel they need a reason. They should feel confident in you. You should be oozing confidence, not arrogance necessarily, but confidence.
It's a very good answer. Thank you.
Yeah. Chris, I know that we've gone a little over and you might have to scoot out of here, but do you have one more from the audience for us?
Yes, so thank you everyone for your questions. We couldn't get to all of them, but we appreciate you so much. So a lot of people, I'm going to combine like a couple of questions here. A lot of people want to know if you have a fitness regimen that you follow to kind of stay fit for the job. What do you do? Merlin says that he wants to know, why are you so buff?
Oh, am I? Am I buff? Thank you. Yes, there is a regimen. And can I ask a question? The person that asked that question, how old are they? Do we know?
We had a bunch of people ask the same question, so I don't really know about age.
Most are probably 20s to 30s, though.
26. This person says 26. Moha?
Yeah, you're right. Yes.
Okay, 26. All right, cool. This is good. You're young. Oh, 32. Good. You're young too. All right. When I started, I didn't know the things I needed to keep in shape to do this job for, and I didn't know how long I'd be doing it either. But yes, there is a regimen. There are core exercises, keeping your core strong, keeping your back strong. And I don't mean you looking beautiful. I mean, these are internal muscles that don't get seen much. So you want to keep your core strong and you want to keep your back strong. Cardio is good to do cardio too, because your stamina has to be there. to do these shots over and over and over again. You're expected to. That's why you're there. I don't feel that that's all you're going to get. I'm done. No, you know, that's why you're there. You're the filmmaker. You're the Steadicam guy. You've got to get that shot done. So cardio and core exercises. Also, I won't go as far as to say your diet, but it's good not to be too big, you know, to carry a lot of weight around. It's good not to be too big. So you might want to watch your weight. And someone who could really speak on this is Henry Turrell, whom I call Mr. Muscle Man. Henry Turrell is another Steadicam operator, very in shape guy. He used to be a little bit overweight, but he took all that stuff down and honed it in and really pulled himself into shape. I think David Emmerich spoke of back exercises that he does. Or, yeah, he's retired and is that? No, he's still Steadicam. He's a DP as well.
David also gave me some tips on kettlebell work.
Kettlebell, okay, all right.
Yeah, that's like one of his things. Is he's always swinging a kettlebell around for, you know, the upper body and arm strength.
Well, I know core is a very, very big deal because core keeps your spine strong. You don't want all this weight crushing your spine. You'll be done in a few years, easy. So, you know, I wish I had learned this when I was very young, but I learned it a little later and started getting into that. And I'm not that buff, but anyway, and lots of water. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate on set, hydrate, hydrate.
In some of the footage that we were able to collect for that highlight reel, I saw that you were running, like not just one-handed run, but the two-handed run. And you're doing these powerful like sprints. And then the one shot with you in front of Denzel in training day, you hop up on a curb like super fast. I didn't even notice it, but it was just like running with a fully built film camera in low mode too. That's crazy. That's strong.
It hurts. Let's put it that way. It hurts. And you know, I find also that a lot of fast moves are the camera moving, more so than me. A lot of dolly grips, when they're working with me, they tell me, "Oh my gosh, you're walking too fast backwards." Well, the camera's pushing me backwards, number one. So you can move the camera a lot faster than you can move. And that helps out a lot if you know how to whip that camera around without shaking the camera and having nice smooth stops. But you don't always need to run. But yeah, running is a big deal, and you have to be careful when you run. You can do some damage if you don't do things right to yourself.
Do you do Don Juan?
I don't do a lot of Don Juan. I do a lot of walking backwards. Don Juan is mostly going upstairs. You're preceding people upstairs. I found it more difficult to walk up the stairs backwards. That's probably the time I use Don Juan, shooting backwards, walking forward. But mostly no. I usually walk and run backwards. Don Juan's tough. it's tough position. But practice it, and it won't be so tough. It's just something I never practice a lot of. Also, alternating operating sides is a good thing to do. Get used to switching back and forth. I'm one of the few people that really operate on one side. When I have to flip it, we're in trouble. And I know it. I just try. I'm able to do everything from that side. But learning to alternate back and forth is good. You should practice that.
Thank you.
I think I'm going to unmute myself and pull a couple of questions into one as our final. Kirk and Jess, do you have recommendations for a good starter rig and the basics of gaining experience as an operator?
Gaining experience as an operator. Can I speak on this, the gaining experience as an operator, Jessica?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I because the starter rigs, I don't keep up with all the new rigs that come out. So I kind of have mine and I deal with that. I think you want to be a camera a cameraman first. You want to be a camera person first. What am I trying to say? You got to know how to frame. I think it's important that you know how to frame before you really pick up a Steadicam. Maybe the Steadicam will help you learn how to frame, but I really think you need to know a picture to compose. The Steadicam is just another tool to compose that frame. So you should be a camera person first. I want to say a cameraman or a camera operator, but you should know you should be experienced in framing. I don't want to make it sound like you need to be the greatest photographer in the world, but you should be familiar with framing before you pick up the rig. I won't say anybody, but I remember when we used to practice Steadicam, and we would show how we can walk around the rig and walk around the other way and walk with no hands and the whole thing. That's all great. It looks pretty. You're fancy on camera. What does a frame look like? That's all that really matters is what's. I remember once me and Chris Harhoff were down in Hollywood. I'm going to say names on this one. I think his name is Joe Broderick. And I think that's his name. And we watched him do a crane jump. He was operating on a crane and he steps off the crane. It's on Hollywood Boulevard, somewhere down there. And we looked up and we've always been taught that when you grip the grip, have a light grip on the post. So you can pan and you can tilt the camera. Well, we noticed Joe had this grip on his post, right? And he was like monster muscling this thing. And the crane comes down and he comes down, he steps off, and you see the camera's kind of like, it wasn't pretty operating at all in this particular shot. I hope Joe, we making you upset. I mean, you upset. But then me and Chris, because we were just visiting his set, he didn't even know we were there. And we walked over to the monitor and we watched the shot, and it looked like a crane shot. It was so smooth. It was so sweet, and it came down and went up and did its thing. But when you watched him do it, it just looked like, that's a horrible looking shot he's doing. So it didn't look cool, but what mattered was the framing. And and everything was framed. Look how I'm framing myself. Everything was beautifully framed in his shot. And it came to the end, beautifully timed. It just didn't look pretty, him operating the shot. So the frame is, now you go, Jessica.
As far as starter rigs go, I don't really keep up with all the technology of the sleds. I know that I started on a Steadicam Flyer, which I think became a different rig. There might be an Aero 30, I think would be what the equivalent is today, or maybe a Zephyr, or there's a lot of different small rigs out there. My starter rig was a Steadicam EFP that was built in the late 1980s. I was literally 5 or 6 years older than my rig. And it was all SD, and I learned everything I could on that before I upgraded to an HD sled that was a Pro. And I worked in that for a few years and earned enough to be able to make the transition to a bigger sled. So Steadicam Forum, I find, is a good place to discuss starter rigs and to look for rigs that are on sale. Steadicamforum.com, which is moderated by Janice Arthur.
Oh, Janice Arthur.
Yeah, she was on last week, and she was excited to hear.
Okay.
She was excited to hear you had one this week.
No,
so.
That's my lady. She was my teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Janice is my teacher.
Janice has been there for a lot of us. She was Matt's teacher.
Yeah, she was.
Oh, she's your teacher too, Matt?
Yeah, she was.
Was she good?
Yeah, she was great. It was amazing being 19, 20 years old and seeing, an experienced operator just wielding a tool with confidence, and it was inspiring and helped to shape how I saw filmmakers as a whole. She is inspiring to this day.
Yeah, she's inspiring for me.
So thank you all for coming. Next week, we're going to have Tony Reyes and Dave Baldwin Jr., SOC, with us. Tony works with the Tennessee Titans, doing live sports, and Dave Baldwin works for NFL Films at times, as well as in commercials and narrative television and features. It'll be a lot of fun. There's a link to register in the chat right now. We'll obviously advertise for the session throughout the week. If you don't sign up now, you can sign up later, but we're excited to have these two gentlemen joining us to speak about their paths. Again, thank you for coming. Thank you, Kirk, for being with us today and sharing your story. We're so grateful for your time and, for allowing us to, share in your insight.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you bringing me on this. This is a good thing you're doing. I love this thing. I might even watch the guys next week. So thank you for asking me to be on it. I really appreciate it.
It's definitely very rewarding for us all to hear your stories and your path through this industry. It's very inspiring. I know I've talked to you in the past about it. It's been very inspiring, and I'm so glad we get to share it to other people around the world, and especially to our SteadiSchool students that are, firsthand. We know they're working really hard to try and, make the steps to be able to do what we all do out there. So,
and they will.
Thank you.
They will. They're the next step. They're the next generation. I see these 26, 30-year-olds, 25-year-olds. They're the next step. They're the next step.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kirk. Take care of yourself.
All right. Thanks to our audience. Take care, everybody.
See you on the silver screen.
Go, Carmen, go.